Hello friends, welcome to my channel, and in this video session we will dwell into the topics of neuroanatomy, and today we are discussing about the gross anatomy of cerebrum with functional areas, and this topic will be discussed under the following headings. First we will discuss the location of cerebrum, and cerebrum is a part of the brain, so we will see the other parts of the brain, how it is divided, embryological subdivision, morphological subdivisions of the brain, and presenting parts of cerebrum like poles, borders, surfaces, and then we will see the important sulci and gyri which help us to divide the cerebrum into different lobes. We will discuss in detail about the lobes, and we also discuss about the important sulci and gyri with the functional areas. Then we will see gray matter and white matter. So first, when you see the cerebrum, where it is located in the cranial cavity. As you already know, the cranial cavity interior is divided into three descending steps, three fossas: anterocranial fossa housing the frontal lobes, middle cranial fossa housing the temporal lobes, posterior cranial fossa housing the occipital lobe, cerebellum, and brainstem. Brainstem will continue as spinal cord from the foramina magnum. So this is the location of the cerebrum, but before that we will have the introduction to brain. So brain consists of about 10 to 15 billion neurons and around 15 billion neuroglial cells. The adult brain weighs around the 1.5 kgs, cortex weighs around the 600 grams. The brain reaches the full size about 18 years of age. The total surface area of cerebral hemisphere is around 2200 square centimeters. Coming to subdivisions, embryologically the brain is divided into three parts: forebrain, that is also called as prosencephalon; midbrain, mesencephalon; hindbrain, rhombencephalon. So these are three brain vesicles which form respective parts from the developmental background. And morphologically we see the forebrain has telencephalon and diencephalon. Telencephalon is the part of the forebrain which contains the cerebral hemispheres and cavity of third ventricle in the median plane. Then you can also see each cerebral hemisphere contains a cavity called as lateral ventricle, which communicate with the third ventricle, which is between two cerebral hemispheres, via interventricular foramina of Monro. Whereas diencephalon includes the neuronal mass around the cavity of the third ventricle, contains thalamus, epithalamus, metathalamus, subthalamus, and midbrain. It is the reduced part of the central nervous system, also called as mesencephalon. It consists of tectum and cerebral peduncle. And hindbrain, rhombencephalon. It includes pons and medulla anteriorly or ventrally and cerebellum posteriorly. So morphologically we say these are the different parts of the CNS: cerebrum, diencephalon, cerebellum, brainstem, and spinal cord. Cerebrum, diencephalon, cerebellum, and brainstem are part of the brain. First, the cerebrum, the largest part or enlarged part of the brain, that is located above the tentorium cerebelli and orbit. It consists of the two hemispheres connected to each other by the corpus callosum, and two cerebral hemispheres are separated by the incomplete median longitudinal fissure occupied by falx cerebri, dural fold. Cerebellum, it is a large mass of brain tissue which is located in the posterior fossa below tentorium cerebelli. So here you can see the different parts of CNS: cerebrum, diencephalon, cerebellum, brainstem, and brainstem will continue as spinal cord. Spinal cord retains the primitive neural tube structure of the CNS development. Diencephalon, structurally it is present between the two cerebral hemispheres and above the midbrain, and is surrounded by limbic lobe. And brainstem, it is the part of the brain located below the diencephalon and in front of cerebellum, present between the diencephalon and spinal cord, and is connected to cerebellum by three pairs of cerebellar peduncles and connects the two cerebral hemispheres with the spinal cord. And it consists of three parts from below upwards: midbrain, medulla oblongata, pons and midbrain. From above downwards, midbrain, pons, medulla. Midbrain is also known as mesencephalon. Here you can see in this sagittal section of the brain here, you can look out there, that is the diencephalon, midbrain, pons and medulla. The arrow is showing, that is corpus callosum, the commissural band which connects the two cerebral hemispheres. And here you can see the entire view of the entire brainstem. You can see midbrain, pons and medulla. Medulla is also known as bulb. Pons is also known as bridge. So these are the three parts of brainstem, and you can see in this sagittal section how the brain is covered by the three meningeal layers. And coming to the gross anatomy of cerebrum. So when you see here, it occupies the most of the cranial cavity. It is the largest part of the brain, and cerebrum is formed by two cerebral hemispheres which are incompletely separated by median longitudinal fissure, and it is held with the two cerebral hemispheres are held by corpus callosum, cerebral peduncles, anterior, posterior and habenullar commissures. You can see here in this sagittal section, you are seeing the medial surface of the left cerebral hemisphere. You are seeing the different parts, the commissures which connect both the cerebral hemispheres. In this view, you can see the entire brain here containing the two cerebral hemispheres separated incompletely by the median longitudinal fissure, which is occupied by the falx cerebri in the living. And you can see just below and behind the cerebrum, you are seeing the cerebellum there, you are seeing this brainstem. In front and below the cerebrum, you can notice the midbrain, entire stalk-like structure is brainstem, midbrain, pons and medulla, and here you can notice the cerebellum. So these are the different parts you can see, and this is cerebrum. When you isolate the cerebrum, when you view the cerebrum from above, it is ovoid in structure, consists of two cerebral hemispheres. This is the cerebellum with the brainstem, as you can see here, midbrain, and you can see a median space there, that is called as a cavity of third ventricle, separating the two cerebral hemispheres. And this is how you see the different parts of the brainstem and brain. So here you can see the corpus callosum again, which is holding the two cerebral hemispheres together, and you can see anterior commissure there, that is the interthalamic adhesion, thalamus. And coming to the cerebrum, each cerebral hemisphere has three surfaces, three poles, three borders and 6 lobes. These are the presenting parts of each cerebral hemisphere. So each cerebral hemisphere present these following parts. Coming to surfaces, the three surfaces are, first one is convex superolateral surface, flat medial surface and irregular inferior surface, which is again divided by the lateral sulcus into orbital surface and tentorial surface. You can see this is the lateral view of left cerebral hemisphere showing the convex superolateral surface. It is convex and occupies the convexity of the vault, and you can see this is the flat medial surface of the left cerebral hemisphere showing the corpus callosum, septum pellucidum and fornix with thalamus, and this is the inferior surface of the left cerebral hemisphere. You can see the two surfaces, orbital surface and tentorial surface, by the lateral sulcus. So these are the three surfaces: convex superolateral surface, flat medial surface and irregular inferior surface. Coming to the borders, it has three borders. Supromedial border, name itself says it lies between superolateral surface and medial surface. Infralateral border, it lies between the superolateral surface and inferior surface. And infromedial border, it is interrupted by the diencephalon into medial orbital border in front and medial occipital border behind, that we will see in the upcoming picture. You can see, so each border's name denotes which surface it separates. So first you will see supromedial border, it separates it is convex and separates the superolateral surface from the medial surface. The red one is denoting the infrolateral border. It separates the inferior surface from the superolateral surface, and that is the arrow showing the ciliary border, which is just above the eyebrow. And you can see this is the medial surface showing the supromedial border. This is how the medial surface is separated from the superolateral surface, and you are seeing inferior surface. Here you can see infromedial border. The red circle is denoting the diencephalon interrupting there. Anteriorly have medial orbital border, posteriorly have medial occipital border, and also you will see lateral sulcus. So you can see diencephalon is here, which is separating the medial orbital border from medial occipital border behind. And you can see the red semilunar shape is showing the lateral sulcus, which divides the inferior surface into orbital surface in front, tentorial surface behind. So coming to the poles, as we already discussed, each cerebral hemisphere has 3 poles: frontal pole, temporal pole, and occipital pole. You can see the 3 poles: frontal, temporal, and occipital. These are the ends of the each lobe. Here you are seeing the lateral view of the right cerebral hemisphere. You can see this is a superolateral surface, convex, and you can notice the convexity now. And this is the flat medial surface. You can notice the flat surface it is having. And when you view the inferior surface, it is irregular, separated by a lateral sulcus into anterior orbital and posterior tentorial surface. So these are the parts what you are seeing here in the right cerebral hemisphere. You are seeing the different surfaces and borders. That is supromedial border separating the convex superolateral surface from the flat medial surface. And you can see infromedial border, which is interrupted by a diencephalon into anterior orbital and posterior occipital. And you can notice now that is the orbital border, posteriorly occipital border. That is occipital border, the arrow is showing. And infrolateral border separates the superolateral surface from the inferior surface. This part is called as ciliary border. So these are the surface and borders of the right cerebral hemisphere. Now coming to the lobes, each cerebral hemisphere is divided into 6 lobes by the 3 main sulci and gyri. There you can see the 6 lobes here: the frontal, parietal, temporal, occipital, limbic, and insular lobe. Coming to the surfaces, superolateral surface, it is convex and adapted to the undersurface of the vault of the skull, and 3 important sulci are observed on this surface, that is center sulcus, lateral sulcus, and parieto-occipital sulcus, which help us to demarcate the different lobes of the cerebrum. So first we will see center sulcus. It is a limiting sulcus, begins at the supromedial border, slightly behind the midpoint between frontal and occipital poles. It cuts the medial border, and it has these following features. It runs sinuously downwards, forwards, and laterally, makes an angle of 70 degrees with the median sagittal plane. Lower end lies slightly above the posterior ramus of lateral sulcus. Here you can see the arrow is showing that is center sulcus. Remember the features. It cuts the medial border, then runs downwards, forwards, and laterally, and lies up just above the posterior rami of the lateral sulcus. Here you can see that is central sulcus, what you are seeing there. That is the lateral sulcus, posterior rami. So you can see it lies just above it. And coming to lateral sulcus, it consists of a stem and 3 rami. Stem lies from the inferior surface. It extends forwards and laterally from that surface along the infralateral margin, and it divides into 3 rami over the superolateral surface. 3 rami are anterior horizontal, anterior ascending, and posterior. So between the anterior horizontal and anterior ascending, you will see pars orbicularis and pars posterior. Then parieto-occipital sulcus, it is found mainly on the medial surface of the hemisphere, between parietal and occipital lobes. It also cuts the supromedial margin just about 5 cm in front of the occipital pole on the superolateral surface. So these three sulcus are very important to divide the superolateral surface into different lobes. Here you can see the central sulcus cuts the medial border, runs downwards, forwards and laterally, and lies just above lateral sulcus, and that is median longitudinal fissure. You should remember the features of central sulcus. So here you can see in this view, you can see the origin of lateral sulcus there from the inferior surface, how it separates the orbital surface from the tentorial surface on the inferior aspect of the cerebral hemisphere. And here you can see in this picture the superolateral surface has different colors denoting different lobes. You can see the central sulcus there, lateral sulcus, parieto-occipital sulcus here, that is pre-occipital notch. Now you can see in this picture. So central sulcus, lateral sulcus, that is or the posterior of lateral sulcus, parieto-occipital sulcus, and the pre-occipital notch, the arrow is showing. So with these four sulcus, we divide the superolateral surface into four lobes. So an imaginary line joining the posterior end of the lateral sulcus perpendicular to the line joining the parieto-occipital sulcus to pre-occipital notch. So area in front of central sulcus and above lateral sulcus, that is frontal lobe. Area behind central sulcus is parietal lobe, you can see there, and area below lateral sulcus is temporal lobe, and area behind the imaginary line joining the parieto-occipital sulcus to pre-occipital notch is occipital lobe. So this is how we divide the cerebrum into different lobes on the superolateral surface. Of course, they extend on to the medial surface and also the inferior surface, and here you can see cortical somatopy or representation of the different parts on the cerebrum. You can see the red mark is motor area, blue area is sensory area. You can say motor and sensory homunculus. Now you are seeing the lateral view of left cerebral hemisphere. You can note the central sulcus there. What are the features of the central sulcus? It cuts the medial border or supromedial border. There are many sulci which cuts the supromedial border, but this cuts the supromedial border, then runs downwards, forwards and laterally. You can notice no other sulcus is doing that. So how to identify central sulcus? It cuts the supromedial border, runs downwards, forwards and laterally, and lies just above the lateral sulcus. You can see the lateral sulcus here, how it begins from the inferior surface, then runs between the orbital and tentorial surface and runs onto the superolateral surface, giving pars this three rami, anterior, horizontal, ascending and posterior. You can see the posterior rami, how it will end in the supramarginal gyrus, and this is parieto-occipital sulcus, has a prominent appearance on the medial surface, and you will notice the pre-occipital notch. So these 4 points will help us to demarcate the different lobes on the superolateral surface: central sulcus, lateral sulcus, parieto-occipital sulcus and pre-occipital notch. So remember these areas. So whatever lies in front of central sulcus and above lateral is frontal lobe. Whatever lying behind the central sulcus and above the lateral sulcus is parietal lobe, and whatever lies behind the imaginary line joining parieto-occipital and pre-occipital notch is occipital lobe, and whatever lying below the lateral sulcus is temporal lobe. So these 4 lobes are there. They have extensions on the medial and inferior surface also. So this is how we divide into different lobes. Now coming to the important sulci of frontal lobe, you will see precentral sulcus, the superior frontal sulcus and inferior frontal sulcus. Sulci are depressions, gyri are elevations. So you are seeing these 3 important sulci in the frontal lobe. So again you can see, you are seeing the central sulcus there. Remember the 3 points. Then that is the precentral sulcus, that is superior frontal sulcus and inferior frontal sulcus. They divide the frontal lobe into different gyri. The precentral gyrus lies between the central and precentral sulci. The superior frontal gyrus lies above the superior frontal sulcus, middle lies between the superior and inferior frontal sulci, and inferior lies below the inferior frontal sulcus. So remember the 3 sulci and 4 gyri of the frontal lobe. You can see this is how the frontal lobe is divided into different sulci and gyri, and these sulci and gyri also extend onto the medial surface. You can see that is the parieto-occipital sulcus, that is central sulcus. And coming to the areas, the primary motor area, the precentral gyrus is also called as primary motor area. It controls the voluntary activities of the contralateral side of the body. It receives the fibers from the sensory area via association fibers, and from the opposite cerebral hemisphere via commissural fibers, also from the cerebellum, and then it sends the fibers via corticospinal tracts or pyramidal tracts from the pyramidal cells of Bed's. Then secondary motor area is area number 6. It is also called as a writing area, which includes the anterior part of the precentral gyrus. Frontal eye conjugate area, that is area number 8. It controls the voluntary conjugate deviation of the eyes. And area number 45, that is inferior frontal gyrus. And Broca's area, it is the motor center for speech. Then remaining part is 9, 10, 11, 12, that is the higher center or the neo center for the limbic system. It helps the person to judge, decide, analyze, and for futuristic cognitive thinking. So prefrontal areas are a part of limbic system, whereas other areas are motor areas. So frontal lobe is predominantly motor, and you will see these different areas in frontal lobe. So remember the premotor area number 4, then the secondary motor area 6, frontal conjugate area number 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 concerned with the limbic system. Here you can notice the primary motor area, which controls the voluntary activities, and remaining areas what you seek. 44 and 45, Broca's area, motor area for speech. Then coming to important sulci of the parietal lobe. So you will see postcentral sulcus and intraparietal sulcus. You can see the central sulcus is there, then that is postcentral sulcus, and a horizontal intraparietal sulcus. So here you can see that is postcentral sulcus, this is central, and that is intraparietal, dividing the parietal lobe into 3 areas, that is postcentral gyrus, superior parietal gyrus or lobule, inferior parietal lobule or gyrus. So postcentral gyrus is area number 312, it is a primary sensory area. Superior parietal and inferior parietal lobule involve area number 5 and 7. They are the higher centers for further processing of sensory information. So these 3 gyri and 2 sulci you will observe in the parietal lobe, and other 2 are supramarginal gyrus, area number 40, concerned with stereognosis, and angular gyrus, area number 39. It is the higher center for the vision, mainly helps to recognize the signals, numbers and symbols. And you can see there postcentral gyrus, superior and inferior parietal lobule, supramarginal gyrus and angular gyrus. When you come to the functional areas of the parietal lobe, the primary sensory area number 312, concerned with the perception of the cortical sensation from the opposite of the body. Area number 5 and 7, they are for the further processing of sensory information and also involved in stereognosis. Angular gyrus, area number 39, involved in vision, like recognition of letters and numbers. Supramarginal gyrus, area number 40, it is a associative area and center for complex movement, and also involved in stereognosis. Any lesion in area number 40, there will be a stereognosis. The person will have inability to identify the object just by touch. So when somebody puts a coin in your hand, you can experience, or you can identify which coin it is, rupee, 1 rupee coin, 2 rupee coin, like that. So that is called as stereognosis, identification of the objects just by touch without vision. So that is the function of area number 40. So these are the different functional areas of the parietal lobe. So predominantly it is concerned with the sensory areas and sensory functions, whereas frontal lobe with the motor area and motor functions, along with some prefrontal areas which are the higher centers of the limbic system. So these are the parts. Remember, in the parietal lobe, the two sulci, postcentral sulci and infraparietal sulci, and different areas. The angular gyrus is just above the upturned end of the superior temporal sulcus, whereas supramarginal is just lies above the posterior rim of lateral sulcus. Coming to temporal lobe, the two important sulci are superior and inferior temporal sulcus, which divides the temporal lobe into three areas: superior temporal gyrus, middle temporal gyrus, and inferior temporal gyrus. You can notice here, that is superior temporal sulcus, inferior temporal sulcus, three gyruses. So temporal lobe is concerned with the hearing, the primary auditory area number 40 and 42, that is concerned with the perception of the sound, and area number 22, sensory speech area, that is the identification of the sound and frequency, and the uncus is a part of limbic system. And coming to occipital lobe, there are two important sulci, calcarine sulcus and lateral occipital sulcus. Calcarine sulcus predominantly lies on the medial surface and then comes on the superolateral surface, whereas the lateral sulcus is the horizontal sulcus, that is the calcarine sulcus, and that is not the lateral sulcus. Arrow is not indicating that. Just in front of the arrow you are seeing horizontal lateral sulcus. So the important gyri are superior occipital gyrus and inferior occipital gyrus by the horizontal lateral sulcus, and it has these important areas for vision. So coming to the sulci there, you can see the calcarine sulcus and all. And area number 17 is the primary visual area, perception of vision, visual impulses is just see something is there, whereas secondary visual area, they further analyze and try to identify, recognition and recalling of the image. So these are the different lobes and functional areas of the cerebrum. Hope you had a nice time. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much.